Now to the next part, you were saying that part of this business between District Attorney Stan Riebert and Russell Wantz was that Wantz there'd be a bidding process with the county.
Yeah, there would be, they just like anything else, they would put a notice to bid for vehicles to be used in county business, and those bids would go out, and I would assume that the county would receive bids from competing dealerships. What caught me off guard was the very way that we would sell these cars. We would be informed, I would be informed by Russ Wantz to type up a bid for, the one that sticks in my mind was a Malibu for $13,800. And I was instructed to not only type up the bid, but get the paperwork ready because it was sold. We needed to deliver it. So as I was getting the phone call, or as I was doing that, working on a phone call from Wantz, I actually got a call from Riebert's office to actually lower that price a little bit. I think it went to $13,600, and go ahead and get it ready and bring it out. So we had a direct line to this transaction where it really wasn't a bid. They would. My perception was that the bids were brought in, opened, reviewed, and then we were given the amount that would win the business, and we would sell quite a few cars that way.
So, in other words, your county government district attorney's office puts out these bids, and they say we want to buy a car from a local dealer, and they request all the dealers to send in a quote, a bid about how much they'd sell a car for the county.
Right.
So you're saying, though, that you think in the case between Mr. Wantz and Stanley Riebert, it wasn't an above-board transaction, that maybe Mr. Wantz had a
I don't see how an open bid process could involve the disclosure of the lowest bid to the winning bidder to formulate a proposal based on that price.
So, in other words, it's your understanding that Mr. Riebert would open the bids before the end of the bidding period and inform Mr. Wantz what the low bid was?
Yes.
So that's called bid rigging, or I don't
know what you'd call it, but it's it's very off the norm. In the industry I work in today, we bid government contracts all the time, and that's not how the bidding process works.
Okay, so walk me through this one particular transaction. You said what was it, an 02?
It's an 02 Malibu Blue. The color's not a non-point, but it was. Greg, we're going to sell. We're going to sell a car to the county. I need you to type up a bid and the paperwork at $13,800. Fax it over to the DA's office. Fax it over. I get a call from the DA's office. Actually, no, that needs to be $13,600. Russ, is that right? Yeah. Change it. Boom. Car sold, and out it goes.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. So, in other words, so you got a call back from Stanley Riebert.
Yeah.
And you spoke with him personally.
Yeah.
And what did he tell you?
He asked me for paperwork on that particular car at an amount that was about $200 less than the original paperwork that I was told to draw up.
So what we're saying is Riebert has to buy a car to the lowest bidder.
I'm assuming, yeah.
Are you saying that Mr. Riebert called and informed you what the low bid already was?
What it needed to be. Yes. What it needed to be.
What it needed to be in order for
that transaction to happen.
So in other words, you think these other bidders were really, it was just a straw bid, that these bids were coming in, and Riebert knew what the low bid was. And
yeah, that's exactly what I think. And I would think that if anybody would look and have access to the information and look at the number or the percentage of cars that were sold during that particular time period, I would venture to guess, and I think I would be right, that the majority of the cars transactions between the county and or the DA's office were bought from Best Automotive in Spring Grove.
And so, but you're saying it's your understanding that the bidding process was fraudulent.
I was never involved in a transaction that I prepared a bid based on my experience. I never bid anything. I was just told to produce the paperwork. There was no bid. The bid, there was a formality of a document that looked like a bid, But I was instructed all along the way as to what those numbers needed to be.
But is it your understanding that the District Attorney Rebert told Russell Wantz, the owner, what to bid in this case?
It is, yes. It's not only my understanding. I mean, I have, yeah, that's how it happened.
So what year, month was that, would you say?
Well, that would, the one I'm talking about, the one I remember most vividly is right around October of, it was about a month after 9/11. The tragedy of 9/11.
So October
of 01, of 01.
So were there other cars sold like this, do you think?
Absolutely, sure. Yeah, it was commonplace. We sold a lot of cars to the county.
Well, your previous car dealership, did you ever bid to the county?
Yeah, we had a fleet department. Yeah, they would prepare bids and did virtually no business with the county whatsoever.
Well, did Stanley Rebert ever call? What was your previous dealership?
Oh, no, it was Apple Chevrolet. No, you didn't ever, very uncommon. I mean, you're talking to a DA about a procurement for, no. The answer is no. We would never speak to.
So basically, the bottom line here is you're telling me that it's your understanding and belief that these two had a close personal and business relationship. That the district attorney was basically telling all car dealers that we're going to be buying cars, submit bids. But in fact, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
right.
What you're saying is that District Attorney Rebert would then rig the bids so that
he would spell out in plain English language to the penny of what a bid needed to read in order for us to be awarded the business.
In order for you to be awarded the contract.
Correct.
So that doesn't seem all that honest to you. I mean, it seems...
Never did. No, it never did.
You mean at the time...
I I questioned it. Yeah, but again, it's you're treading on thin ice. What are you going to do? You're a resident of York County, and you're also working for a paycheck. And when you're dealing with the folks who enforce the laws, it doesn't get much higher than that. And you fall in line and you do what you're asked to do.
Well, you were telling me your dad worked there. I don't know if did you ever talk about this with anybody? Joke with?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
I mean, what was the scuttlebutt about what was going on here?
The scuttlebutt, the common understanding is that there were deep and long ties between Russ Wantz, Stan Rebert, various members of the county government, law enforcement, and that Mr. Wantz could make things happen. He had a direct line to a lot of folks.
So in other words, Mr. Wantz was an insider, and you had a reason to believe, and you talked about at the time, that he was getting an insider's advantage to this county business in your county.
Without a doubt, yes.
So you don't think this business with the 02 Malibu, that this was an honest transaction?
I do not think it was an honest transaction. I don't think any of the transactions that occurred between Best Automotive and the County of York were honest transactions. It was a foregone conclusion that we would get the business. It was just a matter of how.
What does bid rigging mean?
To me, bid rigging means it's any process that doesn't follow the simple act of collecting sealed offers from vendors, opening them all up at the same time, and selecting the lowest price based on a common specification.
So that's not what was going on in these transactions?
Not the ones I was part of, no.
So you feel that this was bid rigging?
Well, sure it was. What else? How else could you describe it?